Hi guys, this is the activity you will start doing. I am not going to do a step-by-step tutorial because that's the challenge. However, I am going to walk you through my layers and explain you a little bit on how I created this so that you can challenge yourselves and do this, okay? So, let me open here my layers panel. I have the layer of my grid, which I'm going to hide so that you can see this house better. And first, let me explain you all the layers, okay, step by step. Let me open the grid. So that's the base of the floor. That's the complete base, okay? This time, our light is coming from our left and our shadows are on the right. So you really need to consider that when creating this. And then I started creating the first face of my house, which is the one that is facing to the light. And then I have the shadow part. I'm going to explain you this, okay, in a bit with the other, with the blueprint. And then I created a light in here because I wanted to give depth to the door. And I put a rectangle here. I painted it in black and I just reduced the opacity, I think around 20% or so. Yeah, 20%. Okay, and then I have the doorknob, and in the doorknob these are just two ellipses, one darker than the other. Okay, so I could give that effect to that depth effect to the doorknob. And then I put this line in the house, like a division, a paint division. And then I put a window also with a frame so I could give it depth, okay? And a reflection to the window. This is the shadow that I created for the house. Since the light again is coming from the left, then the complete house is creating a shadow in the back, like in the yard. So I created this small triangle that I also painted with black and reduced the opacity because I didn't want this to be the same color as this because it's a shadow. And then I put one part of the roof, and I just started to creating the chimney. I put two different colored triangles for the chimney, one a little bit darker than this part, and then the reflection again, the shadow that the chimney projects on the roof. And finally I created this part, okay? So this is the colorized result for the house you will do. Then I'm going to open or to unlock my blueprint so that you can see how this was created. I followed the guides from here and I counted, for example, this base 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 is made out of 11 squares. So it's a square base. So that means that I'm going to put 11 here and 11 over here. Okay, so you have to really use math in this project. And I just started creating all the elements with a pen tool. The thing that I was going to show you that happened around here, I have another example here with the intersections is this. I left this on purpose so that you could see what happens when we use a pen tool with a big pen, a big stroke with our pen, okay? So for example, here I did not design this with a small sized stroke. I did it with one. So that was my first result, okay? So what you have to do is that when you use the pen tool, since we want this to intersect what they are supposed to, then you should work with a small stroke so that all your lines intersect between them, okay? Really intersect between them and they truly fall what they are supposed to be. Okay, so as you can see, this first blueprint has many details, many details, because I used a big stroke for this. So if you use a regular one, then as you can see, all your intersections will fall into place, and we are going to create smoother smoother lines. Okay, so you can even select more than one anchor point and really make sure that those intersections are good. Okay, so that's the biggest tip, or the most important tip. And I'm going to increase the size of the stroke so that you can see a little bit better. Okay, let me put it in 2 so that you can see it. Okay, now let's see how I created this without the color. Again, I have the front face of the base, and then I have the other part. As you can see, of course, we need to count and follow this these guides of our grid. And then I have the base. These are complete shapes because we are going to fill them. So as you can see, even when I already had this shape created in here, I closed my entire square. And then I have the first face of the house. Then I have the ceiling. This was a little bit tricky because it's 1. The size is 1. And it has to be aligned with the center of my house. So if my house is made out of 6 squares, then the center is 3. So you have to place your anchor point in there, and then you have also 1 square like in here. It looks weird at the beginning. I was like, no, this is not okay. But then I mean, it's the orientation, right? And then I created this part of the ceiling. Again, you have to count how many squares. And then the right face of the house, the door, I created this small shadow. In this part, since we don't have a specific, like a guide, a smaller guide for this part, then I just created this randomly. Okay, I just took care that both my lines had the same spacing between them, so I could create that depth for the door. I created the complete door and its shadow separately. Okay, and then the doorknob, again, just 2 ellipses, and then this part of the painting of the house, 2 different, like all of these are different shapes. And then I created the window, and again I had to calculate approximately the depth for my window. And then for the chimney, these are my pieces. These are the pieces that I created. And then after that, I created the 2 triangles. Okay, and finally the shadow of the chimney and the shadow of the house. And that's the blueprint of my house. Okay, so I hope you understand this a little bit better, how to do it. This is the blueprint, and this is my colorized house. You are free to paint, to color this in any way you want, and to add more details if you want. Or you can also put a tree in here, how it would look like with this like in an isometric way. You can make the floor bigger. Go ahead, personalize this, and I hope you enjoyed this activity. Thank you.